All right, fam. Let's go again. It's your boy Chatsky. Want to put this video together and kind of talk about how important this guy is. This is Phillip, and I got a chance to use him and fight like crazy. If you enjoy the videos we put out, be sure to like them, throw a thumbs up on them. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps out the channel. We have grown it immensely over the last couple of months, and we just started. Also, join my Discord. The link is in the description. And this is where a lot of these conversations come up about commanders to use, how to use them, all those different things. And we wanted to get right here into Phillip. We want to talk about Phillip. I just fought Zone 5, okay? Zone 5 with my alt. This is my alt account, all right? My goal for this KVK is to get that to 11 billion. I'm already up like 600 million kill points. But anyways, this is where we're at. We just fought over here. Really appreciate these guys, the Greenwood guys over here, for giving us a good fight and having a good time with it. So we fought for about a day and a half, but it allowed me to try Phillip. It allowed me to finally use him in action. I speculated about this. I've got a card at the top for the Phillip Ultimate Guide that I did, and then I'll also have that at the end of the video here. But I wanted to see firsthand what this thing does. Now on this account, it is an infantry main account. So I've got 3 sets of infantry gear. I have no leadership gear. So I was able to use Phillip as a secondary commander. And I put him behind Ragnar. I put him behind CPO. I even tried him a little bit behind Luce, which is crazy good. I just did not have the reports from that. But I want to go through some of this stuff with you. As we know, when we reviewed Phillip's kit, like, this dude is not just an amplifier. He's what we call an enabler, okay? He enables whoever he's with to just do crazy damage. His extra procs that he gives you on the expertise, whenever this commander in their troops uses an active skill, they have a 20% chance to use their active skill a second time. That's the other commander. When he does it, he's got a 40%. So you got a 60% chance to proc twice. And it's about every other skill cycle, because 7 seconds is about the time. I think sometimes you can get it to run between from back-to-back skill cycles, but 7 seconds is pretty quick. So if you have an 8-second skill cycle, you can get this to go. It's eligible, I should say, to go every skill cycle. It's crazy. Okay, so even if you put him secondary, you got a 2-second buff that does some crazy stuff for this march, because you're gonna take 10% less damage. You're gonna deal 20% more damage. Well, he's given that to 5 troops, and then your troops, the march that he's in, gets that multiplied by 2. Okay, so that's 40% all damage. 40% all damage. And then he's also got the 1 troop type. This is a 30% all damage. And so this guy ramps up the damage, and you can put him with anybody. He's so versatile. And dare I say, he's like the most important commander for anybody fighting in the field. Like, you have other more powerful commanders. Of course, Arthur just released, and he's off the charts. I got great reports on him. Ragnar was released. He's off the charts. I got great reports with him and CPO. And obviously, you've got Luce. You've still got Nevsky. You've got Joan. You've got Huo. You got them all. But this dude is so important to what you do, because he helps all of your marches. It's like, this is a better buff with the extra proc that this thing goes off. This is a better buff than Trajan's buff. However, because he's got so much all damage function to his kit, he trades positive, like insanely positive. Like, that's what's so crazy about this guy. You can put him anywhere. I put him with some infantry commanders. The archer players will tell you that on archer marches, Asher with Phillip behind Asher is the second best archer march. Like, straight up. Like, how crazy is that? When this guy, as a buffing, amplifying, enabler type of commander, is just straight up part of the 2 march archer meta. That's how crazy this guy is. So it was wild. We ran him out. A quick note for people, and this is something that people talk about all the time. If you look at Phillip's let's see. If you look at his third skill, okay, you always want the one troop type to deal 30% damage. That's ideal. Okay. However, he's got this weird alter to this skill to where if he has two troop types, he does 15% more march speed and takes 15% less damage. Well, what you do if you're running Guan or anybody, if you're running, not Guan, if you're running at Ragnar or Skippy or anybody you're running with this guy. Let's say you're out here and you're running Luce and you put Phillip behind him. Your preset needs to be just like this. You need to load that down. You need to put one T1 horseman in it, load it back up, and then save it. That's the march you got to save. And when you save it, so when you come out of your city and you're like, okay, I'm running my murder ball out here, I've got my presets going, and you run this thing is so fast because you get the 15% march speed, and it's got because it's got two different troop types. All right, so when you zoom out here, it's going to show an integration. It's going to show an integration icon. This means that it's registering and has two troop types. So you get 15% more march speed when you're getting to the fight. Now, the second and this is just a real easy test here. So when you look at this guy and you look at his troop composite, that's what you got, two different troop types. The second you hit in any enemy march, okay, the second you hit it, that T1 horseman or T1 cavalry goes to the hospital immediately. And so when you do that, I'll show you here in just a second. When he goes to the hospital, you're switching that skill to the all damage skill. Okay, so basically the second you hit somebody, you switch this from a two different troop type for the march speed, and it immediately goes to the 30% all damage. That's the beauty of it. So now when you look at his composition now, there's no T1 cavalry. Okay, so with that being said, let's look at the report here and just double check us. We're gonna go into the battle log of this, and so you guys can see. Let's see here. You've got right here. It should say all damage. Where's it at? Where's my all damage at? All damage 32.5%. Okay, you get 2.5% from other things, but you're immediately getting that 32.5%. You can see on the first turn that you do it, your all damage. Where's this thing at? Let's see, normal damage, range damage, infantry attack, march speed. It should say damage taken negative 15% on your first turn. You go to your second turn, and that immediately flips to all damage 30%, or it's 32.5%, but 30% is coming from the skill. So that's your justification there. So you've got march speed, which is increased right here at 35%, and that should drop to 20%, and then all damage goes up. So that's a quick, easy way to utilize him where you are going, when you're going to the fight, you know, if the fight's over here somewhere and you roll out your marches over here, getting the extra march speed, getting to the fight is ideal. Like this thing, when I was running him with Ragnar, it was like keeping up with my Nevsky Joan. It was so fast. So there's some little quick mechanics on how that can work. And overall, it just was crazy. It was so much fun to run that march in this Zone 5. Now you can kind of see here when we got into it. This is on my alt. And our enemy elimination just ended. I ended up winning enemy elimination. And then if you come here for the overall kill points of the entire KVK, I'm sitting kind of comfortably in first place and running 5 marches. I run 3 infantry, 1 cav, 1 archer. And running 5 marches, I was just able to wreck and slay. And you can see at my the kill points here versus the healing, I'm doing some pretty good trading. When there's that much discrepancy, over 40 million discrepancy on 109 million of those points that you have for expedition. So I did really, really well. I did so well, I wanted to show these reports, and I wanted to kind of give everybody an idea of how this thing works, okay? If you come over here to my favorites, I think I've got it over here. Here's some of my Ragnar stuff. These are the kind of trades I was getting, y'all. I mean, it was just crazy what I was able to do with this thing. This kind of stuff was just routine. You're trading at 400%, 300%, 600%, 400%. I mean, it was just wild what this thing was able to do. It just does a lot of damage. And for a buffing march, that's kind of unheard of, okay? Here was one from at the beginning of the Zone 5 with Scipio. I was getting the same type of results from him. Okay, so it was just absolutely crazy what we were able to see with this march and how we were running it. And so the other march I ran, because we're in an artifact KVK, I would put Arthur with Nevsky, and then I would put the artifact on Joan like I have here, and then I would run her on the opposite side of the Phillip. I would run her with CPO if I was running Ragnar Phillip, or I'd run her with Ragnar if I was running CPO Phillip. So let's go look at all those trades and kind of get an idea of what we see. I'm going to put them up right here. Now, this is not the easiest to see, but you can tell I highlighted the power ratio. This is what you're looking for. This is the power ratio of your quote unquote trades, if you will. And so I averaged for the whole duration of the fighting 1.79. You know, I'm pushing up to 2-to-1 trading the whole time. You can see when I put CPO and Ragnar together, now the sample's not very big, because if you look over on the right of CPO Ragnar, it's got 4 million kill points. It's only taken 1 million. It's only taken 1 million kill points away from me. So the ratio there is really, really good. So, but that's an outlier because the top one didn't have much. Now, this report is from Report Manager. It's Cuba Mike's. I'll have his link in the description. I've talked about his a lot. It is a great tool that you can use that tracks all of your reports. You can sort it however you want. You can sort your rallies and garrisons. You can sort your field. You can identify which combos do what. You can even look at who you're fighting against. If you're fighting against a big Imperium and you're like, oh my gosh, I think I fought Baba in the field or Wildline and Mr. Hope, this thing will track it and you can see how you did against some of the biggest players. And so if you look at this in the second slot, Ragnar Arthur, and then when I switched it up and ran Joan Arthur, those two really, really did well. So I ran Ragnar Arthur and I put the artifact on Arthur, and that just slayed. Okay. And then I wanted to run Arthur with the cavalries. I ran him with Joan. That's the third one at 2.44 power ratio. And I did a lot of fighting with these. Okay. So if you look down here, I had a 1.38 with Nevsky. Okay, now we talked about my last video. I wasn't trying, by the way, there's a disclaimer. I wasn't trying to say Nevsky's like meta, everybody go invest in Nevsky. I was saying in the 5v5 murder ball testing, I'll have a card in the top. You can watch that video. Nevsky was really, really good with Arthur, and it makes sense why it is, because Nevsky does so much skill damage enhancement for Arthur as a secondary. And so what people have to understand is that when you look at that overall, it just gives viability. That's the main thing that you got to understand. And everybody really kind of needs to understand when it comes to Arthur and what he does with Nevsky. But Arthur with Ragnar at the top here was amazing. With Joan, it was my best pure cav march. Okay. And then I've got Wallace and Luce. Wallace and Luce is just stout, man. That thing just sits up there. That was my highest kill point march. People that are just like, oh, you know, Wallace is overrated. Wallace, compared to the fact that you could run Luce with Phillip or Alex, there's good combinations you can run. But overall, it's just better. It just is. And then when you see this is where it's really important. That fourth line down has Ragnar Phillip trading at 2.27 to 1 when it comes to the power ratio. Phillip is a high productive, high trading march. How crazy is that to think on the buffing, okay? Below that, this is when I put the artifact on Joan. I ran her with CPO. It did well. But then look below that. CPO with Phillip also traded 1.5 to 1. And so from that, I mean, you just look at what we were able to do with this, and Phillip with Ragnar proved to be a little bit better, actually kind of a lot better, but CPO with Phillip did just fine as well. Ragnar with Joan, we had CPO with Joan. Ragnar with Joan did really well. But in this particular context, it was better for me to put the artifact on Joan, run her with CPO, and then run Phillip with Ragnar versus the other way around, because the other way around didn't do as well. Also, the other way around, I was using that particular combo when it was like real heavy fighting, and I'm just face tanking and going Vanguard, just pushing through, where the stuff above it that was trading better was more just kind of having fun, going back and forth, and really maximizing and optimizing the trades. Then down below that, you've got Nevsky with Arthur, which we talk about. Then you've got Nevsky with Joan. You can just see where Arthur, whether he's with Nevsky, whether he's with Joan here at the top, it just does better than Nevsky Joan. Everybody knows that. And then at the bottom, there it is. Just for giggles, y'all. I had to put my Archer March in there. 1.2. Now, people see insane trades with their archers. I don't. It's my play style. Okay, I don't see the insane trades with my archers like other players do. I'm just bad. I'm a bad archer player. I love archers. I think they're amazing. They do so much damage. I think Zuge Herman is a must-have in the field. But when it comes to my play style, I've seen it over and over and over again. With my play style, the archers just do not do it for me. They just do not do it for me. So that's kind of your wrap up of how these things went and how important Phillip is. You guys got to understand, when he's trading like this, you know, when he's with Ragnar or he's with CPO, or you put him behind Luce. My trades, I think, were even better than the Ragnar when I had him behind my Luce. But I was doing it from mobile, so I couldn't track it with the with Cuba Mike stuff. So from that standpoint, it's just to put it into context so everybody understands, because I don't think people realize how important that is to have this powerful of a buff on a March that's trading that positive. It just doesn't happen very often. In fact, it never really has. Any buffing and amplifying March of a commander, that's all he does. He doesn't do any damage. He doesn't have a damage factor of skill damage or smite or combo or anything else. And so this is running this guy secondary. Those are the results I found. Okay. Now, one of the other reasons why you don't run him second, or I don't have him secondary to Arthur, is because I don't have the Delta formation stuff on this account. I just don't. If I did, like I've got on my main, I can't wait to run Phillip with Arthur. If I've got it on my main, I cannot wait to run Phillip with Arthur. It's going to be absolutely incredible. I think Arthur primary, Phillip is the only combination outside of Attila, if you want to run it. Phillip is the only combination to allow Arthur to run as a combo commander. And I can't wait to do that. I'm going to try it out on my main because I got all the Delta stuff on my main. And so that will be one I will want to try as well. The other thing that you'll hear people like Cortex say is that if you have leadership for Phillip, if you have leadership gear for Phillip, he's going to run Zuge behind him. And it should do absolutely amazing with Zuge behind Phillip. Part of the reason why is when you look at Phillip's kit and you're trying to figure out how you want to run him, you come over here to his second skill. If you're running archer units, you're running 35% health. That's insane. 35% health is insane. Okay, it could make El Cid trade positive. That's how much health that is. So running archer commanders, either him as a secondary to him, like we've seen a lot of players already do Asher with Phillip behind, is amazing. Or if you're somebody like Cortex and you've got like crazy leadership gear for Phillip, they'll go run Zuge behind him. And that's just off the charts. It's absolutely off the charts. If you run him with infantry, you get 35% defense, which I saw with Ragnar when I put him behind Ragnar and when I put him behind CPO. If you run him with cavalry, it's much more offensive. Okay, it's 35% attack. Attack on cavalry is not near as important as defense or health. So that's just one of those things we're going to have to test out, but I want to test it out. When I get Arthur set up on my main, I'm going to put Phillip behind Arthur with the Delta formation and run the combo stuff. So with all that being said, it's just crazy to see how this thing worked out. Had a great Zone 5 fight. We're going to fight more as we get into Zone 6 and we start having some altar fights and stuff. I'm going to try Phillip with a couple of different things there as well. But this was just more of a video to kind of help explain to everybody where we're at in the KVK now that I finally got my hands around Phillip and I was finally able to go fight with him. And I fought with him enough to where, there you go. On the kill points, I did more than anybody in the KVK in Zone 5. And so look at my boy Evergreen chilling there. So we had a whole bunch of people fighting in this Zone 5. And it's a C-seed KVK. It's just a lot of fun. And luckily we were able to get enough fights. So that kind of shows you how we did it. I was excited to run Phillip. I was excited to see what he did and how he did it. And so with that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, throw a thumbs up on here. I'm going to be streaming this weekend. I'm also going to be streaming throughout this KVK, and we'll have some more videos. I'll do an Arthur one for you as far as diving into some of his reports and what he does, and it's really, really cool. But that's the proclamation of this particular video, is that Phillip might be the most important commander you can go get. And I encouraged everybody to go get Arthur and Phillip in the commander swaps. Okay, so when we had our commander swaps, it was like, go get this guy and go get this guy. They're the two most important. So with that being said, hope everybody has a great day. And if you enjoy everything, please subscribe to the channel. Again, it doesn't cost you anything. And you can follow my videos. You can get alerts when they come out. And you can help yourself with the information I get. I always want to disseminate it and get it straight to the crew, straight to the family, our community. And that's what I'm all about. So with that being said, everyone have a great day. And we'll see you, broskies.